Welcome back. There's my pal, big bro. How you doing today? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm doing okay, man. I'm ready to go because we still got a lot of stones to turn over on this broadcast tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, we're dealing with these best practices for controlling the tongue, part two. I know you have a lot to say, but this broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. And we just want everyone to know that we truly appreciate you all taking time out of your busy schedules to watch this. A lot of people enjoy it so much. Some
Yeah.
people don't really care for it. But in spite of all of that, we're grateful that you're able to come in and be a part of something that I think is very amazing because we talk about subjects that a lot of people don't like to touch. But
Right.
Chaz, last week we had a good discussion on best talking about the practices that we need to control the tongue. And why do we talk about controlling the tongue?
Because it's something that we all struggle with, and it's especially with other people's emotions that we fall off the handle and say things sometimes that we don't think twice about, and we tear the people down. And in the
Yeah.
process, it really puts them in a bad spot. So I think it's something important that we all, including myself, need to practice doing.
Well, tonight, Chaz, we're going to talk about best practices for controlling the tongue. You know, sometimes people talk about the problem all the time, and we did expose the problem last week. But
Right.
tonight, we're going to kind of kick back and just talk about, okay, what can we do then? Since we know the tongue is out of control, we said the tongue has destroyed many people's lives. We said
Right.
a lot of things about the tongue and how we as a people have to watch the things that we say because that's really dangerous. But before we do that, we always like to welcome those who have enough decency and respect and courtesy to at least say hi to us. So I'll let you do the
Yes.
honor, and then we'll go right back into the best practices for controlling the tongue.
Okay.
All right.
Sister Mashonda says, "Hey, bros, we appreciate you, sister." Hey, Mashonda, we appreciate that. Sister Marie says, "Hotep Brothers, we appreciate her for logging in as well." Nuji says, "Peace and blessings, fam," with an exclamation. We appreciate you.
Okay, Chaz. So having
And we
said that,
appreciate all you guys so far.
we really do. So, Chaz, the best practices for controlling the tongue. Let's start with the first one, which is this right here. I'll let you take it over from here.
Be mindful. Be aware of what you say. Truly think about what you say. But here's the thing, brother. I have to push back against that ticker. We
Okay.
don't care what we say. We have a society where we sit back and we say, I'm going to tell this person off. I don't care. Come hell or high water. You
Mm-hmm.
make me angry. I'm going to let you have it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. We don't care about other people's emotions. We don't care about if we tear somebody's self-esteem down. So
Mm-hmm.
once again, I would like to just kindly push back against the ticker because we don't care about what we say. We love to expose, like you said, make somebody feel bad in front of 50 people in broad daylight. It's a terrible thing, but it's something that's gone away in society.
And then this is so true, Chaz, but this is what we're saying. These are the tips that's going to help us. And like you said, many people aren't interested in this. But what we're saying is these are basic practices that's going to help us. So we're saying we have to be mindful. I have to be mindful how I talk to you. You have to be
Right,
mindful how you talk to me. We have to
right.
be aware of what we say. Now, the second part of this, I think we need to talk about because a lot of us don't truly think about what we say. We just
Mm.
blurt out whatever's in our heart, and that's not always a good thing. But because we've been taught this way and we have no discipline, see, we
Mm-hmm.
have no discipline. Therefore, we say what's ever on our heart because we feel like we have to get out what's inside of us. And
Mm-hmm.
again, this is a sign of immaturity at its best. And as a people, we gotta stop this because it's destroying our relationships and our communication. Wouldn't you say so?
Yes, brother. And let me ask you one question. One thing that I really despise, I hate it. Well, I shouldn't say I hate, but I despise it, brother. Is some people, when you make them angry, you've heard this saying, I heard of saying. That person will look at you and look at me and say, oh, go to hell.
Mhm.
Now, let me say this. I'm not here to go back and forth if the place is real or not or what have you. I'm just saying, even if that place were real, why would you say something? When I hear that, brother, it makes me want to snap because
Mhm.
I don't care how angry you make me. I wouldn't tell somebody something like that, especially if the place is real. I mean, bro, I hear that and I just really want to go off. I'm sorry about that.
Well, Chaz, if you had a low mentality, if you had a mindset that was the scum of the earth, if you were lower than a worm or ant, then you would say that because these are the types of mentalities that bring those things out. You see, these are the types of people who talk this way because many of us, we have no filter and we're proud.
Mm,
We're proud to say, you know me, I'm like a drink with no chaser. But that's not anything to be proud of. That we should be ashamed of ourselves. And this is why this kind of attitude that you're saying is is prevalent. It's all over because a lot of us don't like to truly think about what we say. Because all of our lives we were told, whatever's on your heart, you say it. Whatever's on your mind, you say it. And this is a disgrace to humanity for us not to want to learn how to be aware of what we say and how we should be looking at the subject matter, which is this, Chazz, best practices for controlling the tongue. And that's why we have the problems that we have now, because you don't know how to talk to me. I don't know how to talk to you. I'm not mindful of what I say to you. You're not mindful of what you say to me. And here's something else that I know that you want to talk about. There's another best practice. The best practice is what?
Letter B, practice positive affirmations. And these are just simple things as far as, like you said, observing the situation and say, you know what, this doesn't deserve this type of reaction. Or if you notice somebody's trying to get under your skin, just don't say anything at all, but to sit back and always ready to fly off at the handle and just to say anything that comes to mind. It's a terrible thing, brother. But like you said, we're not interested in practicing positive affirmations. This society has taught you when somebody makes you angry, you go off and you don't think twice about it. And it's a shame.
It really is, Chazz. And I want to add to that because I think a lot of us, we're so negative. We're so negative. We don't even want to be positive. And we talked a little bit about this last week. And this is why the tongue, this is why the heart is so corrupt now, because we don't even want to say anything positive. We're so negative, negative Nancy's, negative Neds. Everything that comes out of our mouth is negative. What's wrong with us saying something positive in a while? What's wrong with us saying something affirmative to people? Why don't we do that?
I mean, it's nothing wrong with it, brother. But like you said, we love, like I said, this society is based on tearing people down, making them feel bad. And we love to, show somebody up. I don't know why this is looked at upon as weak, because I think if you ask the average person to talk positive, they'll say, oh, he must think he's better. Or that's for those weak white folks. Stuff like that. This is how far our minds have drifted away, brother. It's terrible.
It really is.
Sister Barbara comments, she put Hotep Kings with a strong arm. We appreciate her for logging in as well.
Well, Chazz, here's something that we need to talk about, the next point, because I'm going to just preface it before we put the point up. But here's a major problem within the African American community. The viewers that are watching this, whether we want to consent to this or not, whether we like it or not, I want you to look at this and read it, and then you talk about it, because I want to dive in right after you get done. Here is something that we have to look at that we start doing. Here it is.
C, avoid gossip. Brother, this right here could be talked about for an hour. We sit back, we talk about everybody in their mama, everybody in their family, everybody in the neighbor. We sit back, we gossip like we're high schoolers. And my thing is, some of it is frivolous. Some of it doesn't deserve to be talked about. But it's like, this is all we get wrapped up in. This is all we get carried away about. Gossip is all over. I told you last week, brother, on magazines, TV shows, radio shows. This is what sells in society. And once again, we sit back and we criticize everybody like our stuff is perfect. It's awful. It's awful.
The screen says on the ticker, best practices for controlling the tongue, part 2. This avoiding gossip is a big one, It's huge, because I've always been told that people that gossip, these are kids, like teenagers, because even though these teenagers can't avoid that because they're young, as we say, young, dumb, and full of bubble gum, but these adults, Chad, that are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and further out, we're the ones who are gossiping in many instances. We don't know how to control the heart, so we can't control the tongue. We are too old, mister. We are too old to be sitting around like old men and old ladies talking about one another, not knowing what we're saying is the truth. We're hiding behind our cell phones, but all of we do most of the time is pick it up, and if it ain't dirt or gossip, we don't want to hear it, because it's not juicy, as they say. And again, if you want to control the tongue, and if I want to control my tongue, We have to avoid this gossip, but we've been doing it for so long, it's very difficult for many of us.
Yeah, and it's to a point to where we have like local buddies or homegirls and stuff. We hang out and we go to them. We ask them, "What's the tea for the day?
Yep.
What you got for me?" Stuff like that. And it's like we're salivating for that. And when that person says, "Oh, I haven't found any info today," or "I don't know anything," we get angry because we're looking for something to dwell upon. This gossip thing is bad. And like I said, I think it's worse now for the older folk than it is to teenagers because they know better, but they choose not to do anything about it.
I gotta say this, Chaz. I gotta say this. We're looking at a society, and I'm talking about us. We're looking at a society that has gone stone nuts. We're looking at a society that has gone stone mad. We're looking at a society that is really out of its mind. We're looking at grown people who can't stop gossiping. They're looking at social media. That's nothing but gossip. They're looking at these sitcoms, nothing but gossip. They're reading their favorite entertainers, nothing but gossip. They're reading their favorite comedians, nothing but gossip. They're reading all these magazines, nothing but gossip. And so therefore, this is all we do is gossip. And that's why we don't want to come clean tonight and say, these are some of the best practices. And you have to admit that.
Yeah, and I hate bringing these people up, but this has to be talked about. We all are familiar with the Chris Rock and Will Smith thing when Chris Rock got slapped. Brother, and I know you remember that time. When that happened, do you know how big that story was pushed? It felt like for decades. And it's like, we sit there talking about, well, did Chris Rock sleep with Will's wife? Brother, that was something that was so big. And I'm laughing because this was something that everybody was so obsessed about for months. It was pathetic.
When you don't have a life, you search and you seek for anything you can to give you a rise or a high. And this gossip gives many of us a high, Chaz.
Sister Barbara comments, she says, positive affirmations are revealing itself in my life as I've been working on the self and learning very important and enlightening teachings of spirituality. Okay, I appreciate her for acknowledging that she has been knowing that she's lacking in the area and she's trying to get better in that area as well. And she's learning new positive affirmations. Keep it up. Keep going forward.
And that's what I've often said. See, people think that I'm against religion. I don't care if you believe that the cow jumped over the moon. I don't care what you believe. What I care about is that you practice the teachings that you teach, that you're being taught. See,
right?
Because all of these religions, as far as principally speaking, they have some truth in them that's good. Right. But because we're hypocrites, we talk about things that we don't practice. And here's the sister saying, at least she's being enlightened. And that's why we have to continue this discussion about best practices for controlling the tongue.
She fires back at us again. She says, some things will never change because some people will never learn. Yeah, they never will learn. And we've been down this road thousands of times, but some people, they never learn.
Okay.
D, don't talk too much.
Chaz, let me please, Chaz, let me get that. Let me get that. A best practice for controlling the tongue is simple. Shut your mouth. I mean, me too. Shut my mouth. Some of our mouths run like bell clappers.
Yeah.
They never stop. We always yapping. It's like a machine that won't cut off. Yeah. We have to talk. If it's silent or quiet, we think something wrong, so we gotta fill the air with language. So what we're dealing with is quit talking too much. This is basically what I'm talking to all of us. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to you. Now we have to talk tonight. For this is a broadcast. Don't get it twisted. Right. But in general, many of us, we talk too much and nobody tells us this. But we're telling us all that. Shut your mouth. Sometimes, Chaz, we don't need to say anything. Sometimes, as we're going to get into the broadcast later on, sometimes we just need to listen. Right. But because we think we know everything, we've got to run these thick tongues of ours. Right. And this is why a lot of us don't want to hear this, because we'll never control our tongue because we talk too much, Chaz. That's all I got to say. We talk too much.
You said a handful. And in fact, you said some of the things I spoke about earlier. I really don't have anything to say, but that's just practical. We all know that we, and myself included, we talk a lot. We do need to try to control that. But as the next point says, letter E, Quit thinking that you have all the answers. Yeah, there's some things when people come to us, instead of saying, I do not know, I don't have the answers, we want, and sometimes, brother, we'll even make up something to sound good to make that person think we know, instead of saying, I don't know. It's nothing wrong with saying you don't know, but we want people to think that we got all the answers. We're these gurus. We have all these solutions, and it's not. It's totally not the case.
Chaz, you know, I'm working on some things in my life. I must be honest.
Okay.
One of the things that bothers me, and it rubs me the wrong way, is when every time someone says something, someone else has something to say. I mean, every subject that is brought up, somebody has something to say. And like you said, those 3 words, I don't know. We don't say that anymore because we want everybody to think we're this Google app. We want everyone to think we're this GPT chat. You know, we want everyone to think that we are so wise. We are so smart. And this is not the case. We're just the opposite. But instead of us saying, I don't know that, Chaz, I'll have to investigate or maybe get back with you, or I just don't know. Every time we bring up something, if you notice, whenever conversation's going on, whenever it's brought up, someone has something to say. There's some expert in that field, whether it's science, language arts, whether it's math, whether it's music, no matter what the subject is, some smart aleck always have something to say. And many of these are people that are adults who just haven't grown up yet, because you know you don't know everything. I know I don't know everything. But unfortunately, many of us feel like we've got to say something, Chaz.
You're absolutely right. And as you say on the next clicker, letter F. Practice active listening by paying attention to what others are saying before you formulate a response. And see, that's just it. Sometimes we don't even wait till that person gets done talking. We just cut them off and jump in front because we love to talk. And once again, listen to what they're saying. Sometimes people are coming to you, they're hurting, they're aching, they're looking for a solution, and all they need is for someone to listen to, not to fly off at the handle and just say anything. This is ridiculous.
And this is what happens when we argue. If you come at me and you arguing and you raise your voice a little bit, instead of me saying, okay, he's excited, I'm gonna listen to what he has to say. While you're talking, guess what I'm doing? I'm thinking about how I'm gonna come. No, I'm thinking about how I'm gonna come back on you. See, so while you're talking, I'm waiting for a loophole, whatever I can get into. So I don't care what you say. I'm waiting for you to mess up with what you're saying, so I can dive back in on you to show you that what you're saying is not right. We have some sick people in our communities. We have some sick people in our family. We have some sick people in our country, and we don't want to learn how to control the tongue because we don't want to listen. Now, I teach students, and that's one of the things that I have to drive home to them. But they're young now. They're young. I have to teach them this. Listen before you speak, because kids do that. But nowadays, we got adults that do it. They don't hear what you're saying, and they don't hear what I'm saying because they're too busy waiting or trying to cut you off to get their point across. And this has got to stop, man.
Yeah, and I noticed, especially if we're around like a large group of people, let's say like a party or a big thing like that.
Yeah.
Brother, it's so bad because we want to show out. We want people to look back and sit back and say, that brother knows what he's talking about, or that sister is speaking. And I noticed that in a big gathering, that's where it happens a lot, when we're cutting people off and we're just trying to get our point across so we can look back and sit back and thinking that we're really gurus, like you mentioned earlier.
I said this last week, and I hate to repeat myself, but I got to repeat myself. All it takes is for a lot of guys and a lot of girls to get together.
Boy.
If 2 guys are talking and one guy is dealing with the other guy, there's some ladies around, the guy that's being dealt with, he's going to say something that's going to warrant a fight or a killing, because he feels as though he's being cut down when all the other guy's doing is sharing something with him. Or because you're talking about the solar system and all the planets, and I don't know anything about the solar system. Instead of me listening and all the people saying, wow, Chaz, you're heavy, I got to show my knowledge and say, well, Chaz, you don't know what you're talking about. So I got to put something in there that's ignorant to make these people think that I'm smart. And then the women gonna say, ooh, Jahi, he got you. And then I'm saying, That N ain't got me. So now I gotta
Right,
I
right,
gotta come
right.
back at you. Many people have gotten killed for this. So I gotta come back at you. And before you know it, it's total chaos and anarchy, all because I wouldn't listen, man. And
Yeah,
that's a problem. And this is
yeah.
why we can't control our tongues because we won't listen.
Mm-hmm. Letter G.
Uh-oh.
Refrain from speaking ill of others behind their backs. Man, brother, some of these points, like I said, should be just broadcasted themselves. And this is one. Quit talking. And here's the funny thing.
Okay.
When we talk about these people behind their backs, when we see them again, like the next day at work or in our family, we act like everything is good. We act like we like nothing has been said. Quit running your mouth about people. We all have a journey, as they say in life. We all do stupid things. We all do things that we're not proud of. But just to sit back and just, always just cutting a man down and cutting a woman down, it's frustrating, brother. And I'm getting angry saying that because
Come on,
you
Chaz.
have people in your family. I have people in my family just all the time, just tearing people down. And
Always,
it's
never
terrible.
stop. Yeah, and this is how hypocritical we are. I'm using you and I because the people that's watching this broadcast, they know who they are, and we know who we are. But here's how hypocritical we are. I'll talk about you like a dog. I'll come upside your backside, upside your front side, down your left side, down your right side. I will talk about you like you are nothing but the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
And then when I see you, when we get together as family members, I hug you and say, hey, bro, what's happening? How you doing? When I know in my heart, I have talked about you. I have maligned your name.
Yeah.
And this is how hypocritical we are. I don't ever talk to you. Every time I talk about you, everybody knows that I talk about you. But when I see you, I'll even tell people, I can't stand that Ian Chazz. I can't wait to see this guy. I'm going to tell him all. And when I see you, I say, hey, brother, how you doing? See, that's hypocrisy, and this is what the problem is. It really is.
Yeah, it is fake. Like you said, we all have those people, not only in family, just we all know somebody who acts like that. You tear them down on the phone or in person on the social media, and then you see them and you act like nothing has ever happened. But it's at an all-time high now than I think more than ever. Because I think honestly, brother, the social media aspect is what really hyped it up. We did talk about people back in the day, like in the early 2000s, but I think social media is what bumped it up a couple of notches.
Yeah, really.
Sister Mashana comments, she says, those family members be the main ones talking about one another.
She's right. She's absolutely correct, because it's the family members that are hypocrites. It's the family members that don't want to be bothered until they want to be bothered. Mm-hmm. See, it's the family members that talk so bad about those whom they know, those who are the same blood. Mm-hmm. They talk about us so bad, but yet this shows, man, that you got a lot of grown people, because we're talking about grown people most of the time. That's why this show is called Adults Only. The grown people, we have some people that don't want to clean them lives. They don't want to clean up. We don't want to clean it up. We know that we talk about others. They're every day. We're not just on the phone, but we're seeing people. We're talking about other people. And here's how bad it is. If you ask me, let's say I have a relative named Fred. Mm-hmm. If you ask me, hey, Ja, have you seen Fred? Instead of me saying, no, I haven't heard from him, I'm going to say, man, that N. Then I'm going to start talking about him. I'm going to start talking about him for no reason. For no reason.
I'll take it a step further. Even when we don't have any dirt on that individual, it's to a point now where we'll just make up stuff. We'll just make up stuff just to gossip. And some of the stuff is so far from the truth, but it's because we don't like that person and we want to get something started. We'll make up anything about the person and tear them down.
And Chaz, let me say this before people mistake us. Some people always think that women do this, but I said it last week and I'm going to say it again. This is something that men and women do. Boys and girls do. Older people and young people do. Whites and blacks do. Hispanics, we all do this. And this is why our families have not bonded. This is why we can't control our tongue, because we don't have an appetite for some kind of information that's going to set our minds free. See, we rather look at that stuff where we're using vulgarity or half naked or calling each other out of their names, or using all kinds of funny speech, you see, or telling
Right.
a joke or making people laugh. We don't
Right.
want to sit down and say, I need to listen to this. I really do.
Letter H. Choose your words wisely. Once again, be thoughtful when you're talking about someone, and put their emotions into your mind as well. And this is a practical thing. Treat people the way you want to be treated. These are just
Whatever.
practical things that we all should be practicing to make our lives and your lives easier as well. But like you said, we don't choose our words wisely. We just love to what you call just tear the next man down, which it's at an all-time high now.
The subject tonight on Adults Only is best practices for controlling the tongue, part 2. We're telling us, all of us, how to control our tongue. How do we control the tongue? By choosing our words wisely. Many of us choose our words foolishly. There's always this uncle or this aunt or this grandparent or this mother or father that says things that's just scut bucket dirty, okay? And we listen to them and we know that's not right. But what we do is we tee and we ha and we repeat those words. And so instead of us choosing our words wisely, we talk to our kids like that. We talk to those loved ones like that. I've seen many kids that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. They do something that they shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And they are called everything in the book, Chazz. This is a sad day. And they're called everything you could think of. And you know some of those words. That's why you
Yeah,
sniffling. You
yeah,
know some
yeah,
of those words.
yeah.
So instead of choosing our words wisely and saying, baby, that glass that you broke is not more important to me than you are. We say, why you little bad AMFNS? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that we do, man. And these are old people. We're older.
Brother, you tripping with those adjectives.
I got to, because Chaz, you know this is true. And
Yeah.
even girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands and wives, mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, we can't communicate like we're communicating. It's got
Yeah.
to be those choice words. We want people
Yeah.
to know that we are sailors and we can throw words and people pat us on the back. Well, you sure dealt with that guy. No, you didn't deal with that.
Right.
You didn't
Right.
deal with that. That's stupid what you just did.
Yeah, and once again, I talk to some of the people I know, and I tell them that too. As far as why couldn't you just say, that person didn't do me right, or that person treated me unfairly, especially if they make us mad. We say some really mean things to that individual. Some of the things that I wouldn't repeat on this air.
We don't even choose our words wisely. As I said earlier, we choose our words foolishly. You see, and we think that's tough. We think that's a badge of honor. It's a shame. It's a disgrace. But grown people like us, we add on to it because we'll say, woo-wee, when the person is dealing with them, instead of saying, Chaz, stop all that nonsense. You didn't say it enough. Instead of me telling you, Chaz, you just going on and leave that guy alone. I'm going to say, woo, you dealing with it. Keep on going. So you know that's an indication that you can go on. And this is how silly we are as a people.
Sister Marie chimes in. She says, some people just like to hear themselves talk, and in mine, I just want to tell them to shut up. Most of the time, they don't even know what the hell they are talking about. I'll let you go ahead and take that one.
Yeah, she's right. The queen is right. Because listen, some people just like to hear themselves talk, she said. And she says, in her mind, you want to tell them, will you shut up? Will you just shut up? Be quiet. And however you say it, because some people say, well, you and Chaz are not politically correct. You should just tell them to be quiet. Don't tell them to shut up. Whatever. Shut up. We're telling them to shut up.
Well, but those are fighting words when you say that. If you tell somebody to shut up, normally those are fighting words, especially if they're grown adults, bro.
And this is how ignorant the grown adult is. Be quiet, shut up, silence it more. All that's the same thing. So the word shut up is basically telling you to shut it.
Yeah.
Be quiet is saying shut it. But when you have a small mind, they will say, well, yeah, you told me to shut up. So what? You need to shut up. Why don't you pay attention to it? And she says this here, that most of the time, they really don't know what they're talking about. Like brothers who go to the pen, and I'm not knocking all of that, sisters and all of us who've done things, we come back. We have this language now where we want people to think we're so intellectual, where we're using words that people can say, man, this guy is smart. But no, it's not. You didn't study in the pen, and that's good. And so now you want people to know that you got this ideology that no one else can relate to because you're so deep. And like she said, shut up. That's what that's what we're saying.
Yeah, especially if you know what you're talking about. And I don't know if you noticed this. This is something I picked up on, brother. Some of the people who have accents, like they come from England, Russia, anywhere. I noticed those people who do have those accents, or someone says, "Oh, you have a nice accent." When they say that, like Sister Marie said, they keep going on and on because they want people to be upset. It's like, okay, you have an accent. Okay. I mean, but you want somebody to hear that. And it's ridiculous.
It really is.
Sister Barbara comments and she put, "Shut bucket dirty." And then she comes back. She says, "When people make me angry, I'm learning that less words or no words in exchange are necessary if people can't understand and or express their emotions without cussing one another out and are yelling at each other."
Yeah, because you can't argue with a fool, man. These are best practices for controlling the tongue. Everybody should be tuning into this. Don't jump in and jump off. See, you should be listening to this, so should I, so that we can teach our children and teach ourselves that this has got to stop. See, when people are making you angry, sometimes you have to use less words because the more you talk, the more the fool is going to talk. And the more the fool talks, the more you talk. And the more the fool talks, the more you talk. And before you know it, you got two fools arguing for 3 hours over something that they both saying the same thing about. They're so hard-headed. You got two fools. You're telling me that the shirt you have on under your shirt, you're telling me it's red. And I'm saying to you, well, it's really not red, but it's bright and it's kind of, it's a certain fluorescent color. And 2 hours later, we're saying the same thing, but because we're both fools, we just want to hear that.
Brother, and I want to just go ahead and comment on her comment that she said. She said that she has an issue, and there's nothing wrong with that. She's acknowledging she has an issue with anger, and she's trying to refrain from saying things or cussing another person out, and she's acknowledging that she needs help in that area, and she's not trying to always fly off the handle as some people do. So we do appreciate her for acknowledging that and admitting it, because it takes a lot, brother, to get on this broadcast and say, I have a problem. Yeah, I need help in this area, and I need some help, and I need some help. She says again, respect goes a long ways. Yeah, because
go ahead.
When you don't respect a person, it shows the way you talk to them, especially when you always cussing them out, putting them down, and instead of just letting it go, brother. It's terrible the way a person gets treated when they have, or even when they've had respect for you, and for some reason they lost it, brother. They talk to you so bad, and you know it.
Yeah, Chad. This is what lets you know. You might have a family member, and this family member you disagree with, and this is how you know when your respect for that person or their respect for you is gone. All you got to do is disagree with them. See, once you agree with them, everything is good. When you disagree with them or say, I want to challenge what you say, the respect that they have is gone. They're going to call you everything in the book because they have some minds that are still immature. And this is what happens in families most of the time. Go ahead.
And I just want to take a quick pot shot at the elders, not all, but some of the elders. Because there are elders who have knowledge, they've been around, they've learned things. I'm giving them that. But for a person just to kindly, politely say, I don't think that you're right about that, or that logic is a little bit off, not cussing them out and not trying to make them look small. Brother, when we challenge an elder, they take that as disrespect, and they disrespect you. They lose respect for you because you challenge them when you just politely ask them a question. Don't you know a couple elders like that?
Yes, I know a whole lot of elders like that. I don't know just a couple. I know a whole lot. All you got to do is rub them the wrong way. And all that, baby, all that good stuff you say, baby, they don't talk to you. Now you become a B. You become a B. You know what that B stands for. Instead of baby, you from a baby to a B. This is the kind of stuff that we're dealing with. And this is why we're not controlling our tongue and using these best practices for controlling the tongue.
The next one on the ticker says, I say uplifting things that encourage people. Yes, society, and I said this last week, society has torn us down. Our managers, our neighbors, just some of our family members have done enough to us, the system, the government. We got so many things that's going on against us. We need some positive words to say, you know what? You look nice today. Or you know what,
Yeah.
brother? I noticed that your health is getting a little bit better. Or you know what, sister? Your haircut is sharp today. Just things like that. That makes it makes a person who is angry and sad. It gets them a bright Kool-Aid smile. And they're happy and they're ready to do things. And we do need to practice. And it's not about patting someone's ego or making them feel better. But we need to start saying good things about people. Because, brother, I'm telling you, this world is tearing most of us up, and we need some positive enforcement in today's society.
I can't even add to that, Chazz. I'm gonna go to the next one because you combed that thing very well. So I don't even want to add to that one.
I appreciate it. Letter J. Regularly assess your communication habits and make adjustments to improve. Yeah, and especially with our communications, as far as if you see somebody texting you and for some reason you had to put your phone down and run, instead of just ignoring the person, tell them why you couldn't respond to the message. Because some would say, oh, he's ignoring me. He thinks he's better than me. Communicate, brother. We are adults here. We are grown 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old women. And it's like, or communication. We expect people to read our minds. We expect people to automatically know instead of communicating verbally of what's going on. And I'll say this real quick and I'll let it go. If you live with a person, boyfriend, girlfriend, or wife, husband, and we are angry, we expect that significant other to diagnose why we're angry. And then when they don't, they explode. So it's just, brother, we're adults here. And I'm tired of talking. I'll let you get the floor now.
Well, you on fire. You on fire tonight. I guess last week it was me, but tonight it's you. And this is some beautiful language. But it just tells you, number J, regularly assess your communication. You know what you're talking about. You know you're talking too much. you know that your communication is corrupt. You know this. You know that your communication habits are terrible. You know that you don't communicate with people when you say you're going to do something and you know you're going to do it. You know that you procrastinate. You know that your communication is way out in left field. And now that we know these things, it says make adjustments. Mm-hmm. So I know that I'm using vulgar language all the time.
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to control my tongue. So I'm going to assess my vulgar language and say to myself when I'm lying in the bed or sitting down at night, I'm going to say to myself, how have you been doing communicating? Then my real self is going to say, you've been using vulgarity. You've been talking. Every other word come out your mouth is silly. So then all joking, playing around. Then I'm going to say, I'm going to stop that. I'm going to start myself. And this is how I'm going to adjust. I'm going to stop doing that all the time. See, that is a simple tool that most people run from because they know that they are so weak-minded that they don't know how to improve themselves. And this is why we need to assess our communication. Don't lay on the couch. You don't need a therapist. You don't need a psychiatrist. You don't need a counselor. You know what you need to do. And they can't help you because you don't really want to help yourself.
You're absolutely right. And I just want to take that one a step further. Like you said, especially with the cussing part, brother, why can't we talk to each other? Now, every now and then, some words do slip out. I'm not saying that if a cuss word slips out, I'm not saying that's that you should be crucified. I'm just saying left and right, MF this, MF that, SOB, or GD this. And it's like when I hear that around certain people, it's like it kind of rubs you the wrong way because it's like it just sounds so awful hearing that every 5 seconds.
Well, you told me last week. You told me last week it was nothing more than a weak mind trying to express itself. Be respectful, constructive, and kind, even when you may not agree with others. Now, this is a big one because when people don't know how to agree, Chazz, instead of being constructive and saying, Chazz, you know, I just disagree with you. You can have your opinion, and I don't see what you're saying, but that's okay. You can have your opinion. I gotta call you something dirty. I got to say something about your looks or your clothes or something. I've got to say something that's disrespectful about your mama, your daddy. I've got to say something about your relatives. I got to say something about something to let you know that you crossed the line just because we disagreed. See,
or even, and I don't really like diving into this topic, I'll just say it real quick. It's bad in the politics area. For example, you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat. I vote for Biden. You may go for Trump. I see you out in the street and you got your Donald Trump t-shirt or your Donald Trump banner in the window. Brother, when you get out the car, we at Walmart, I'm cussing you out. I'm charging you. I'm talking about what he did January the 6th. I'm calling you a rapist. I'm attacking your family members that's in the car. And it's like, it doesn't deserve that. Even though you may be a Republican fan, I have to live with that and say, okay, I may not care for this individual, president, but I'm not gonna, charge this man up. I think it's really bad, once again, brother, in the politic field. You can't vote for whoever without the other party really, really, taking it to
it's bad in the political field, it's bad in the religious field, it's bad in the family field, because it's the family members many times, as the one queen said earlier, BB, she said that it's the family members that keep it up going, because we all do it, but it's the family member who doesn't know how to be respectful and who doesn't know how to constructively criticize something. We always got to tear people down. We're too old for that, and we've got to stop this nonsense. But yet many of us, we don't see the need for this.
Brother Ray puts, hey fam, hey Ray, we appreciate you for logging in. He says, unspoken expectations destroy many relationships.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
I'll let you take that one if you want, brother.
Yeah, he's right, because when you don't say anything and you assume, you touched on it. This is what bothers the relationship. Now, as it relates to the tongue, we're talking about best practices for controlling the tongue. Instead of talking about it with the tongue, we withhold the tongue. And then that withholding of the tongue gets our emotions all bent out of shape. And now, because that person isn't doing what we think they should do, which we haven't told them, now we go off on them because it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous.
It says, Ray says, if you love them, hold your tongue when you're angry. Yes, it's good to refrain. If you know what you're saying, you're getting agitated or angry about, you don't always have to cut them down. Sometimes you have to practice discipline. Letter L. Learn how to refrain in some instances. If someone wants to be foolish with their tongue, let them. I'll let you have this one.
Yeah, you just said it, Chazz, before we put the marker on the screen. Learn how to refrain in some instances. Everything doesn't deserve an answer. Now, that's hard to do, but everything does not deserve an answer. Learn how to hold things inside. Most of us, as individuals, we have problems with our tongues because we don't know how to hold. We can't hold anything in. We're just like a bad faucet, always running, or a bad refrigerator, always leaking. We can't sit back and listen to people. And even if that person is saying something just nonsensical, we can't sit back and say, oh, okay. No, we got to tell them that they're wrong. We got to show them that we know more than they know. We've got to let them know that our words are more pristine and our words are more profound than theirs. So we've got to run our mouths, and we need to learn how to refrain. That's one way that we control our tongues. Just sit back and listen sometimes.
Yes. That's a handful that was said. As you progress on the screen, letter M. Be mindful of your emotions before speaking impulsively. Yes, and here's the thing. We have to control that. I'll take it a step further. Control it. I could be angry at you, brother, without cussing you out, screaming at you, or just saying something disrespectful. I could be angry right now, brother, and be calm as I am right now. Say, you know what, brother? You told me that we were going to meet up at Wingstop to get some chicken, and you didn't. You know what, brother? Why didn't you do that? I don't always have to be irate, hollering with my fist in the phone, screaming at you. Learn how to be angry, or maybe not agreeing with one another, and be calm about it. And some people say, well, wow, I didn't even know that brother was angry because he dealt with it so calmly, instead of the opposite, trying to show someone up, if you will.
Tonight's broadcast is about best practices for controlling the tongue. All of you out there watching this, you know that you have a problem with your tongue. We know that we have a problem with our tongue. We know that our family members are all out of whack when it comes to the tongue. And all we're doing is giving you best practices. You should tune into this because your children need to hear this. You need to hear it. I need to hear it. And like Chazz said, we have to be mindful of our emotions before speaking. Here's the situation, Chazz. And I'm going to tell you what a lot of this thing boils down to. It boils down to this. I've had a rough day today. Okay. My students, this is an example.
Okay.
My students and got on my nerves from 8 o'clock until now. you go home and then you got issues at home. All that's going on. The car barely made it home. The bank is calling you because you haven't paid something that needs to be paid. Bill collectors are all around you like piranhas in a pool, biting at you, chipping at you, biting at your toes. And all this is going on. And then you come to me and you say, Jahi, that hat, did you wear that hat last week? And instead of me saying, Chazz, I think I did or whatever, all that I told you was in me. So I'm going to say, you SOB. Why you don't talk about my hat like this, you mother effer? And so I go on, but yet it's really that other stuff that's gotten me. See, I'm lonely. I'm hurting inside. I want someone to love me. And all this is going on, Chester. You got me started. This is true. All this is going on inside of me. So instead of me being mindful of, I've had a bad day, all this stuff is going on, and now this brother asked me one question about my hat, and instead of me saying, yeah, brother, I think I did wear it last week, or no, I didn't wear it last week, I'm going to explode on you because I got a lot of problems that's going on inside of me, and that's what it really is.
Yeah, and sometimes I would even take it a step further and say, you know what, even if you are angry, we do this with our children. If you have children, when they make you angry, sometimes you don't deal with them immediately. Sometimes you may deal with them a day later or a week later, because at that time, instead of getting that belt and wearing them out or just making them cry with switches and spanking them all night, sometimes you do have to deal with them later, because if you deal with them at that time, you'll probably hurt them because of all the anger and rage that's built up inside of you.
Yeah, really.
Ray comments, he says, speak to people the way you want them to talk to you, from children to your elders in between.
He's right. He hit that one on the head right there, because sometimes the way we talk to our elders, we ought to be ashamed of ourselves, and then flip it over too. The way some of our elders talk to us, they got to cut it out. So it goes both ways, but it's a matter of most of us not realizing that you cannot go through this world not practicing how to control the tongue and acting the way that we act. Someone has to say it, because it must be said. And this one here, Chaz, read this. I want to say something about this one.
Letter N, accept constructive communications. This only helps us become better people. Yes, and quit thinking that it's always attacking your manhood, attacking your ego. Sometimes people are just telling you things, you need to do this to get your blood pressure down, or you need to do this to get your weight down. It has nothing to do with trying to make you feel less of a man or less of a woman. These are just tips to help you become better, and we have to stop, myself included, always think that something is personal, always think that something is against me, when sometimes it's just practical information to help you become better.
If we listen to people who have our best interests at heart, we will all be better people. We have to learn how to accept constructive communication and criticism. This is for us, our growth. See, many of us, we can't be told anything, because we go back to what we said earlier. We think we know everything. We think that we know everything there is to know, yet we know we don't know it. But in our minds, that's why a lot of people always get into arguments with other people. And they're arguing over what people know. You may say this, I may say that. So we're arguing about it. The next time you may say this, I may say that. And so we're going at each other often because we can't accept constructive communication and constructive criticism. If done properly, it is to help us become better people. Like you said, it's not to cut us down. It's not to belittle us. Well, because we have not been taught, Chazz, we have not been taught that constructive criticism is very helpful. We're always going at other people, always ready to throw blows, always ready to cuss people out. We have some sick people in our families, in our communities, and yet we don't want to address this issue because we don't know how to control our tongues.
Absolutely. The next one on the ticker, letter O. Always be on high alert, especially in emotional charge situations. Yes, because, and I'll just say this, and some people may say, oh, he's hyping this up. You do want to be on high alert because some people are angry. Sometimes it's not always verbal. Sometimes it does get physical. Some people can go and get a knife. Some people can go get a firearm. Some people can go get a bat, a hammer, anything to say, since you know what? I want to really show you how I'm feeling inside. Since you don't want to hear what I got to say, I'm going to really show you. So you do want to be alert. And especially if
Come on, Chazz. Come on, man.
But brother, this is true. Especially if you know and you see that their eyes are getting bigger, their voice is getting louder. Brother, You know this. You know what I'm saying is true.
I got to get a hold of myself because you're dealing with this thing tonight. And you're right, because the best practices for controlling the tongue. See, a lot of black people, African Americans, Europeans, Hispanics, people of color, we don't want to have this discussion. We hide behind these cell phones and we turn us off. We turn off people that's teaching. We're talking about best practices for controlling our tongue because all of us have problems with our tongue. Now, when I get into an argument, I have to be on high alert. I can ratchet it up. I can talk louder. I can turn my volume up from a 4 to about a 7 or 8. I can turn it up. But when I turn it up, I got to realize those emotions come with that level. So those levels go up, the emotions go up, and before you know it, we just lose it because we have not been taught how to ratchet it up and just check our emotions. We can talk loud to each other. I didn't say scream now, because sometimes we do have to get loud, but we don't have to be irate. We don't have to be seeing red. We don't have to scream to the top of our lungs.
Right.
We don't have to be doing the things we do. And this is why our communities are so messed up, because we're not on high alert. We stay on low alert, and then we get emotional. And before you know it, like this guy told me, how do you have it after this? He's about 75 years old, and the other guy's about 80. One guy bumped his car. The 75-year-old guy bumped the other guy's car. He thought it was a young guy. When he saw the guy got out with about 80, he asked that guy, "What's up? What you want to do?" Instead of talking, and the guy 80 threw up his dukes like this, and the guy 75 said, "Now that's what I'm talking about." And they start fighting in the streets. This is crazy, man. This is high alert, you see.
Yeah, and then I'll just take it a step further in traffic, and I do this at times on accident. Sometimes a person in front of me is driving, brother, on the highway, feels like 40 miles an hour. And when I drive past them, I'm thinking before I get past them, why are they driving so slow? The emergency light's not on. It's frustrating. And I'm thinking it's an idiot that didn't cut me off or something, but it's an elder brother. You can tell they got their glasses on. They can barely move in and out of lanes. And I check myself and say, that response didn't deserve that. This is an elder, and I have to really put myself on Jump Street when I say that.
Well, you're a good one, because some people give them the finger. Some people, I don't care if it's an elder or not. We have some crazy people in our communities, and most of us don't want to accept the fact that we are sick.
They give the elders the finger?
Yeah, they giving them the finger. They cursing them out, call them stupid, telling them they need to go get their license, redone. This is where we are now, and this is why this tongue, you see, this tongue is deadly. But a lot of us don't want to have these discussions. We go to church, they talk about it, but you don't do anything about it. We go to the mosque, they talk about it, we don't do anything about it. We go to spiritual meetings, we talk about it, we don't do anything about it. So these are just words that we're using, and most people don't want to get down the way we're getting down with trying to help us when it comes to best practices for controlling the tongue.
Brother Raymond comments, he says, "I'm glad I don't know it all. It gives me my life purpose to learn something I don't know, to know better." Yes, and at least this brother Ray is commenting saying, I don't have all the answers to life. And it's nothing wrong with me admitting that. And if there is someone who's willing to teach me or I can learn from, it's nothing wrong with that. And I'm willing to learn from that. And we appreciate that comment, brother, especially us as men. We love to think that we know everything. So I appreciate him for commenting that.
He's right.
Letter P, have empathy. Put yourselves in other shoes when we are blasting them verbally at all the time.
Yeah.
Brother, empathy is something I would say that has gone out of the window. Nobody cares about anything anymore. Nobody cares about others' emotions. Nobody cares about if that person has depression, anything like that. And it's sad and I hear this even with the young teenagers, this is 15, 16, 17. These teenagers are saying some things that I wouldn't repeat on this air. They don't care, brother. I don't know if something is possessing them or something, but this is something that has to be talked about, brother. Care about your fellow brother. Care about your sister, even if they're not blood related. Care about your neighbor. Quit treating them, or even I'll take a step further, the homeless. Yeah, they may not smell the best. Yeah, they may not have the best car. Yeah, they may not have the best clothes. But, brother, the way we flip our nose at the homeless, and some say, well, I don't care. They got in that position. So what? They're still human.
Yeah. And you don't know what your next day is going to be like. best practices for controlling the tongue. We shouldn't be talking about those types of people, but having empathy, put yourself in other shoes. In other words, you should look at a person and say, wow, they must really be having it tough. But what we do is we jump on them. If somebody is down in the dumps, Chazz, and they are down, and I hear you dealing with them, and you shouldn't be dealing with them, instead of me saying to you, Chazz, you know, you need to cut that out, man. That you talking to this person and they're going through a tough time. What I'm doing is I'm waiting for you to get done. When you get done, I'm gonna take my shot at them. So once you get through dealing with them and saying silly things, I'm gonna jump in on them and kick them in the teeth and kick them around, and so we can give each other a high five when we get done and say, we sure told that end, didn't we? We told that end. And so you and I go away celebrating the fact that we were two fools the way we acted to this person. And this is why the tongue is dangerous, man. It is very dangerous.
Absolutely. Sister Barrow comments, she says, laugh out loud, Chazz. When the eyes get bigger, I'm dead. She knows that's true. She knows that's true. And Brother Raven comments, he says, the tongue can inspire and curse a person. Yeah, and I just quote the scripture. It says lack of
altruism
creates insensitive self-indulgence.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Chazz. You're going to vote.
Yeah, they say this Bible verse, life and death is in the power of the tongue. But the people who say that, they don't mean it. They just say it sounds good.
These are the ones who are venomous. These are the ones who are killing people. These are the ones who saying things to people that we shouldn't say to people. See, we always use these verses and these verses and these spiritual incantations, and it sounds good, Chazz. It really does.
Right.
But in actuality, most of us, I would say 90-something% of us, we have a problem with our tongues.
Yeah.
But because we have no discipline, we're not learning. We don't care about shows like this where we have to sit down and come to grips with what we're dealing with. We rather watch TV. We rather watch sports. We rather watch something entertaining. See, we rather watch religion. We rather watch politics. We don't want to sit down and say, these brothers are talking to me, because we're talking to ourselves. And they're talking about best practices for controlling the tongue. But a hypocrite, a play actor, a hypocrite, these are the people that will not listen to this, because no matter what you say, no matter what I say, they have gone so far with this tongue that they can't come back. And instead of saying, let me start somewhere, let me get practical, they, instead of saying that, they're going to keep saying, well, nobody can tell me what to do. I've been like this all my life. I'm going to die this way. You fool.
Yeah.
You fool. You shouldn't want to die like this. But this is the kind of stuff that we deal with. And most of our kids, they see us living this way. And what do they do when they get older? They repeat the very thing that we have shown them all of our lives.
Brother, and I cannot believe the time. I just looked up at the screen. It says that we basically got a minute left. But I really enjoyed this broadcast. Let me ask you this real quick, and I'm not trying to get ahead of you. Are next week, are we going to come back at this again, or you haven't thought about it yet?
No, we can do something next week that's challenging. No matter what we come with, people should be aware of it, because this broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Tonight's subject has been best practices for controlling the tongue. This is part 2. This show is called Adult Only. We talk about adult situations and adult material that a lot of people don't like to handle. Stop being so immature. And I'm talking to all of us, not just you. I'm talking to myself. Stop being so immature where you can't sit down for an hour and listen to the truth of brothers helping us, trying to give us tips, trying to give us just practical ways that we can control this tongue, because all of us know that this tongue is out of control. You may not want to admit it, but you know it's true. Your mamas, your grandfathers, your grandmothers, your sisters, your brothers, my nieces, my nephews, my cousins, my friends, my co-workers, everybody is included in this thing. And so we have to set an example to show the people that someone's going to have to set some best practices and talk about subjects that people don't like to talk about. And so Chazz and I, we come to you every Wednesday with this. And we want you to know that we come from a loving heart. And you should want to tune in every week at 6 o'clock. You shouldn't want to miss this. And if you just tuned in, go back and rewatch it from the beginning, because we talked about best practices for controlling the tongue. And you know your tongue is out of control. I know my tongue is out of control. But this is what real men, this is what real women do. So I'm going to let Chazz close us out. I think we have another comment. And we had a couple more comments, but I want these comments to be read. Now let Chazz close us out.
Okay, Brother Ray says, thank you both for the straight talk. Thank you, Ray, for actually taking the time out to listen. We appreciate you. And Sister Barbara says, I believe my age and my health also play an important role in me taming my tongue. I'll let you have that one.
Yeah, she's basically saying when you get older, you know, you can have a stroke, Chazz. If I explode on somebody over and over and I'm older, you know, you can have a stroke, you can have a heart attack. There's a lot of things that come along with that. Your blood pressure can rise. So when you get older, she's saying when you get older, you gotta stop it. You gotta stop acting like you're 10. I gotta stop acting like I'm 3. And most of us know that we're all in that situation. Keep on hollering at people, keep on messing with people, and we're gonna find ourselves on the side of a house, clenching our chest with our fist on our chest because we didn't have the big one. And so what we're saying today is, you've got to learn how to control your tongue. I've got to learn how to control my tongue. So please watch this broadcast every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And Chazz, please don't comment anymore, ladies and gentlemen, because I can't get to them. I'm going to let Chazz close us out. This has been a great 2 weeks of best practices for controlling the tongue, because every one of us, our tongues are out of control, and you know it.
I appreciate you, brother, for having me on the show. And I just want to say real quick, Brother Ray, Sister Mashonda, Sister Marie, and Nuji, Sister Barbara, we appreciate all of you guys for commenting. Brother Darrell commented. We appreciate him from at the last minute. But yes, today's topic is about controlling the tongue. We all suffer from it. Learn how to shut your mouths when some things don't need to be said, especially when other people's emotions are involved. And I want to say this last but not least, and I said this earlier, learn how to have empathy. That's something that was tossed away, I felt like, years ago. Learn how to say, you know what, this person or lady is having it hard. I'm not going to pile on. I feel sorry for them instead of, well, it ain't me, so I don't care. So learn how to have empathy and treat people the way you want to be treated. That's all I have to say for tonight. Once again, brother, I appreciate you for having me on. I really, really enjoy this broadcast.